BPD stands for borderline personality disorder, which is now regarded as a mental illness or a mental disorder. It is a label that is used by the health professionals to describe a particular group of symptoms that a person might have. The term borderline personality disorder is actually a historical term and was coined in 1938. And at that stage, mental illnesses or mental distress was put into two different axes. Axis 1 and axis 2. One for your more neurosis type of conditions, your anxieties, your depressions, and one for your psychotic type of illnesses, the voices, for example. And people with this set of symptoms that were classed as borderline personality disorder actually had symptoms in both axes. So they were on the border, borderline. So it's certainly not, the term borderline is not meaning, is it really or is it not? So unfortunately, a label like borderline personality disorder does not describe in any way the experiences or what the person is like. People have described having BPD is like having no emotional skin. So every emotion just is at 100% or even at 0%. There's sometimes no middle ground. Like having third-degree burns all over your body is another way of describing it. They tend to really struggle with interpersonal relationships, so relationships with others, but also with themselves. So they often describe that there's this great emotional void. They don't actually know who they are. There's often a sense of self-hatred, of self-loathing, of hopelessness, of being unworthy. So it's a really challenging condition for others to understand, because often as a carer or someone that's supporting them, we might see this really competent person that will go home at night and absolutely fall apart. And they've managed to keep it together for the day, but then at night they just come home and you might see a totally different person. People often describe wearing different masks for different situations. Because they've got this poor sense of self, they will have a feel of the environment that they go into, and they'll adapt their personality to sort of fit in with that group of people. They might go to a different environment and they'll put on a different mask. People with BPD have heaps of positive traits as well, which sometimes it can be really hard to see because we tend to see the distress. So they tend to be very empathetic to others that are suffering, very empathetic towards animals. Their resilience absolutely astounds me. If I felt as terrible as they've described to me, I don't know if I could get out of bed, and yet they get out of bed. They're also tend to be extremely creative. So the arts, the drama, sports, all sorts of creative fields they often tend to excel at. That's an important part to include, because we tend to leave that out.